students, today I am going to discuss with you a poem that is prescribed in the book Flamingo NCERT. Or this poem already have been discussed in the previous videos, and the question answers related to this poem have also been discussed. So still, for revision, I am going to discuss this poem with the help of the extra marks. So let's start the poem. An elementary school classroom in a slum.
Objectives. By the end of this smart learning module, the student shall be able to understand, interpret, evaluate, and respond to the following features in the poem An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. About the poet, theme, setting, characterization. Critically appreciate the writer's style of writing. Understand the effectiveness of the style of narration. Concepts in module. Introduction. About the poet. Poem. Theme. Summary. Critical appreciation. Characterization. Form and structure. Glossary. Introduction. An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum was first published in 1964 in Stephen Spender's Selected Poems, and is perhaps the best example of Spender's political concerns. The poem reflects the condition of poor children living in a slum who go to an elementary school to study. The state of the school and the classroom invokes sympathy for the children. The government is supposed to provide equal opportunities for the children's education, but the classroom in the slum offers little hope to its students. The poet implores the government and the teachers to provide opportunities so that these students can breathe in fresh air and learn new things in a healthy environment. About the poet. Stephen Harold Spender, 28th February 1909 to 16th July 1995, was an English poet, novelist, and essayist who wrote on the themes of racial and class inequalities. Sir Stephen Harold Spender was educated at the University of Oxford, where he first became associated with W. H. Auden, Christopher Isherwood, C. D. Lewis, and Louis MacNeice. His book, The 30s and After, 1979, mentions these renowned people. Within World. Stephen Spender's autobiography provides a detailed description of Virginia Woolf, W. B. Yeats, T. S. Eliot, Lady Ottoline Morrell, W. H. Auden, Christopher Isherwood, and many other prominent literary figures whom he was friends with. He was appointed the Poet Laureate Consultant in Poetry to the United States Library of Congress in 1965. An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum is a poem that portrays the plight and deprivation of the children living in a slum. It shows the ill-equipped classroom and the malnourished and diseased children in it. They are unable to concentrate on the lessons being taught and relate with them. Slums are squalid and filled with poverty and pollution. Elementary education that is considered bare minimum and compulsory in most parts of the world is the only education available to the slum dwellers. And that too is in a bad shape. Hence, the poet makes an appeal to the authorities to educate them completely. Squalid.
Squalid means student experience dirty and unpleasant living conditions.
Now read the poem.
An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum by Stephen Spender. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn around their pallor. the tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. At the back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young. His eyes live in a dream of squirrels' game in the tree room other than this. On sour cream walls, donations. Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn. Civilized dome riding all cities. Belled, flowery, Tyrolese valley. Open-handed map awarding the world its world. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this world, our world. Where all the future's painted with a fog. A narrow street sealed in with a lead sky. Far, far from rivers, capes and stars of words. Surely, Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example. With ships and sun and love tempting them to steal. For lives that slyly turn into their cramped holes. From fog to endless night. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel. With mended glass like bottle bits on stones. All of their time and space are foggy slum, unless governor, teacher, inspector, visitor. This map becomes their window and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. Break, oh break open, till they break the town, and show the children green fields and make their world run ashore on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books, the white and the green leaves open. History is theirs whose language is the sun.
The speaker describes the unfortunate condition of the slum children. He says that these children are far away from the bright life of rich people. They have no hope in their lives. Their unkempt hair around their pale faces look like rootless weeds. The tall girl looks physically and emotionally exhausted. Her weighed down head shows that she is dull and tired.
Unkempt.
Unkempt means having an untidy or disheveled appearance. That means the poor children who are studying in the slum school were poor and weak, and they were not only physically but also, their whole surrounding is also, looks very dirty, and that's why they could not study properly. So this whole poem is actually focused on these poor children who are actually coming to school and they do not have proper, clothes, food, and their life, and they are all health and hygiene actually they do not know, and it is because they have less resources, they have no resources, and they are poor, parents are poor, and they are unable to provide all the necessary things which need to be look that is why the poem actually, the poet Stephen Spender actually, who is a socialist and who actually, mostly write about the poor children. And if you go through there, your another story, that is interview, and you must, poets and pancakes. So in that story also it is Stephen Spender's reference is there. So actually in all over countries, around the world, where actually the poverty is there, so Stephen Spender visited, and he wrote about the poor children, their conditions, and tried to improve their conditions. So he actually wrote about these children. So, because if a part of the society, if remaining poor, so we cannot become developed, because we have to think about these poor children, the their grassroots problems, must be solved. They must be helped. If all will progress, then the progress will take place. But in a society, only rich and middle class will progress. The rest part, remain, as backward. So the society cannot develop. So firstly, we have to think about from the basic, from the grassroots, from the every person. If couldn't get the basic needs, which is required for a suitable life, a comfortable life, then they do progress. So all we have to think, like governors, government, people, we should help these children. And when actually we go through this poem, so we learn about these children, whose parents are poor now. The children are also poor. So, the students, I think you must, understanding this poem.
His eyes look like those of a rat rummaging for food. Another student in the class is stunted and a victim of genetic disorder, which he seems to have inherited from his father. He suffers from weak bones. Instead of being able to concentrate on his studies, he only draws sympathy for his disability.
Rummage.
Rummage means search unsystematically and untidily through something. That means ki hunt through, ya search through, ya dig, dive, plunge. Okay.
The classroom is dim, and at the back of it, a sweet boy remains sitting unnoticed. His mind is lost in the dreams of a squirrel's game in a tree room, oblivious of his poverty and classroom. The boy seems to be dreaming about playing in vast green fields just like squirrels do.
Okay, that means the condition is much worse than the even these reptiles, creatures like rodents, like a squirrel. A squirrel is independently with full freedom it is playing. That's why but the poor children who are studying in the slum, and they are classroom is dirty and outside surrounding is dirty. So now the one of the boy, that is small boy actually he is also thinking to play. The progress actually take place only when our surrounding is good, and our life is good, our financial needs, our food problem if solved, and if we are health and hygiene is being taught and provided, so then only life can be good. And if all will progress, even the poor and the poorest of the part of the society, if progress, then only progress actually is termed. And if there is only few people will have the resources, the rest people not, so the progress cannot take place. So here the poet says that the children are children who are studying in the slum area, they are skinny, they are the bones are peeping out of their body, and that means they are very very weak, not only physically and resources, they do not you know, from all round they are poor students. So I hope so you are following.
That too. The walls of the classroom are unpleasantly yellow in color, like sour cream, and the names of donors are scribbled on them. A picture of Shakespeare, clear sky at dawn, dome of monuments showing the growth of civilization, and a funnel-shaped flowery Tyrolese valley are all put up on the walls of the classroom. Up on the wall shows a world outside which is beyond the reach of these children. The place where they live is nowhere located on the map. The world in which they live offers no hope to them, as it is blurred like fog, and their lives are sealed inside the streets covered with pollution. The map, which signifies knowledge and travel, is quite in contrast with the life of these children who do not get even mandatory education facilities. Stanza 3. The picture of Shakespeare and the map displayed on the classroom wall remind the children of their deprivation and tempt them to commit crime so that they can access the world they have never seen. They live in abject and perpetual poverty, confined in their cramped and filthy dwellings without any ray of hope. They are so skinny that their bones can be easily seen from outside their skins. Weak-sighted and do not even have good spectacles to study. They have to manage with steel-rimmed spectacles with glasses broken like bottle bits on stones and mended here and there. Their misfortune appears to be absolute and ineradicable. All their time is confined to the dark and foggy slum. These slums are a black spot and a question mark on the growing human civilization. 4. The speaker begs the authorities to save these children from their dead-like state, confined to catacomb-like slums. These children need to be freed of all bondages, with their world linked to the civilized world so that happiness and prosperity can be brought to them. If these children are allowed free education and expression, they will become enlightened and empowered like the sun, and will create history.
Catacomb.
Catacomb means an underground cemetery consisting of a subterranean gallery with recesses for tombs as constructed by the ancient Romans. That means कि tomb, mausoleum, underground cemetery, है ना? That means कि कब्र, है ना? मकबरा.
Appreciation, explanation. The stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease is lesson from his desk. A child in the classroom of a slum school has not attained his proper height because of malnutrition and is also suffering from a disease of twisted bones. He fails to recite his lesson from his desk when he tries to and gains sympathy from people. Map, awarding the world its world. The map on the wall of the classroom has included almost all places and people in it quite generously, and thereby assigned them their rightful place and position. However, the slums and their children have been marginalized and have got no place in the civilized world. Therefore, the maps do not show them. These windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs break open till they break the town. The state of the slum dwellers is like the dead buried in the graves in underground cemeteries. They live in an enclosed environment which is like the underworld, as the portal to access the civilized world is closed to them. And show the children green fields and make their world run azure on gold sands, and let their tongues run naked into books, the white and green leaves open. Green symbolizes nature and fertility, golden prosperity and happiness, azure a clear and unpolluted sky, and white purity, enlightenment and culture.
Asha.
And
Asha.
Asha means कि bright blue in color, like a cloudless sky.
And show the
Aisha.
and show the children green fields and make their world run azure on gold sands and let their tongues run naked into books, the white and green leaves open. Green symbolizes nature and fertility, golden prosperity and happiness, azure a clear and unpolluted sky, and white purity, enlightenment and culture. The poet envisages a world covered with green nature, full of greenery, a cloudless and clear sky, and a land full of prosperity and happiness. He wants a free and unlimited access to education and books so that the children in the slums can be enlightened and cultured and live a free and happy life. History is theirs whose language is the sun. The sun is an epitome of glory, hope, and splendor. The poet says only those people create history or live a meaningful life who have attained success by interacting with the civilized world. If the same opportunity is provided to the slum children, they can also make a difference to the existing world.
Okay, so student, you must be understanding key what the poet want to say. And the history is there, so whole language is the sun means ki who are independent, who are free. There is no bonding, there is no poverty. If then only the history will be all theirs. The person actually who their name is famous, who actually become famous, popular when they are getting their all basic needs and they are independent, they are free, and they are well protected, then only they can think about the world, or then their name will be in history. But if a person actually remain poor and from resources, from other things, then how can he save himself and can do something good, something great? So we should how the progress will take place.
Spender's ideologies were in response to the problems concerning social inequalities. His poem does not explicitly target any country or group. Through his works, he wanted to bring a social change in the lives of those who are deprived. The poem was written during the American Civil Rights Movement. Spender was against the racial discrimination meted out to the black people. He points this out in the poem and does not name any particular ethnic group. Characterization: the slum children. Spender describes the pitiful condition of the slum children studying in an elementary school. These children are devoid of happiness and love. While some suffer from genetic diseases, others are sick or suffer from malnutrition. The speaker wants the government to help them and offer opportunities so that they can seek to live in a world with fresh air, water, knowledge, and joy. Just like other people, these children too have dreams. They wish to run around in natural landscapes, but all they get is a world full of crime, pollution, and diseases. The education system and the government are a complete failure if they cannot provide equal opportunities to all their citizens. The society too has become apathetic towards these creatures of God. The poet has used a lot of imageries and figures of speech in the poem. Some of them are symbols. A. Rootless weeds. It refers to children who have become as rootless as unwanted weeds and are pulled out from the mainstream society. Roots here mean the very foundation of any structure. B. Futures painted with a fog. It refers to the unclear and bleak future which the children have. C. Run azure on gold sands, the white and green leaves open. Azure symbolizes a clear and unpolluted sky. Gold symbolizes prosperity and happiness. And white symbolizes purity. D. Sun, a symbol of the bright future of slum children. Metaphor. A. Their futures painted with a fog. B. Sealed in with a lead sky. C. The paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. D. via skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel. Simile. A. Like rootless weeds. B. Like bottle bits on stones. C. That shut upon their lives like catacombs. Repetition. Break, oh break open till they break the town. Alliteration. Spectacles of steel.
Okay, student, let's now learn some meanings of the words.
Gusty.
Gusty means characterized by or blowing in gusts. That means blustery, windy, breezy है ना, हवादार. ठीक है ना. दैट मीन्स कि बहुत ही जो है तूफान से भरी हुई, मतलब कि बहुत ही दुखों से भरी हुई, गस्टी है ना.
Pallor.
पैलर. पैलर मीन्स कि है ना हेल्दी, पेल अपीयरेंस, बहुत ही मतलब दुबला पतला है ना, परेशान, दुखी है ना, कलरलेस.
Stunt.
स्टंट. स्टंट प्रिवेंट फ्रॉम ग्रोइंग और डेवलपिंग प्रॉपरली है ना, जो कि प्रॉपरली डेवलप नहीं हो रहा है, स्टंट कहते हैं उसे. यू कैन से अंडर साइज, इनहिबिट, ड्वार्फ, इम्पीड है ना, छोटा, गिट्ठा, बोना है ना. क्योंकि भाई भाई माल न्यूट्रिशन है. माल न्यूट्रिशन की वजह से अगर पोषक तत्व नहीं मिलेंगे बॉडी को तो ग्रोथ नहीं हो पाएगी. कि ये बच्चे गरीब थे है ना, स्लम में रहते थे है ना, उनके कपड़े नहीं है, उनके पास खाना नहीं है, उनको है ना, कोई उनके पेरेंट्स बहुत पुअर हैं, तो ऐसे में वो क्या ग्रोथ होगी बॉडी की उनकी, वो तो वीक तो होंगे ही.
Gnarl.
Gnarl. Gnarl means ki rough, knotty, protuberance, especially on a tree. That means ki lump, bump, swelling, nodule, growth. है ना, gnarl. है ना, lump, मतलब swelling, nodule.
Cape.
Cape. Cape means a very large piece of land sticking out into the sea. उसे कहते हैं cape है ना. A very large piece of land sticking out into the सी में जो एक बहुत लार्ज जो जमीन का हिस्सा होता है जो धंस जाता है ना समुद्र में, तो उसे कहते हैं केप.
Slyly.
स्लाइली मीन्स की वेरी नाउ स्लाइली मीन्स की वेरी यू नो बैडली आप कह सकते हो.
Blot.
ब्लॉट. ब्लॉट मीन्स होता है कि डार्क मार्क और स्टेन मेड बाय इंक, पेंट और डर्ट, या ब्लॉच, स्मग, स्पॉट, डॉट, धब्बा मतलब. Okay, student, with this I conclude this video. I hope that you must have learned something more about your poem, and I expect that you will, if face any kind of difficulty in understanding this poem, so you will, write me, and you will, send WhatsApp me, and you can also, write in the comment box. So definitely I will help you to, make it better in the next videos. So okay, so thank you very much. Have a good day and happy learning.